Hi, I'm Nick Agar. Welcome to Dictum's Woodturning Workshop. Today we're going to discuss the various flute shapes we get on our gouges and the grinds that affect those shapes and how we use them. Bowl gouges come in many different shapes and sizes. Some, like this perhaps more economically produced U-shaped profile, which may lend itself to a more traditional grind. So the Superflute is probably the most common found profile in many different gouges today, and lends itself to various grinds and different sizes of gouge. Let's turn to the sharpening. We first show how to sharpen a bowl gouge with a U-shaped profile. And this lends itself better to being hand ground rather than put in a jig. Because it's so U-shaped, it's easy to overgrind in the bottom part of the U and therefore producing a hook that you don't want on the tool. I'm putting a 50 degree on this. By altering the angle of this plate, you will need between 50 and 65 degrees for inside a deep bowl for turning, which this gouge is very good for. Let's just sharpen it. Again, keeping it flat on the tool rest, working from the side, bringing the tool round, watching carefully that when you look across the top that the sides are equal. I also like to take the bottom of the bevel away and just soften it. Be careful doing this by hand, resting your hand on the tool rest. But this just softens the junction where the bevel is pushed around the curve of the bowl and makes the journey sweeter with less damage to the timber surface. Let's see how this tool is used. Push cut, bevel rubbing cut. We are now sharpening a bowl gouge with a Superflute shape. So this is what I would call a factory grind. The tool often looks like this when you take it out of the packet. It'll work perfectly okay at this angle, but it has a Superflute, and this flute shape lends itself to being a fingernail grind or pretty much anything else you can throw at it. Let's first sharpen it in its original form, keeping the tool flat on the rest, and keep the tool straight. Look over the wing, slowly rotate it around and bring it off the edge. Start the other side, slowly bring it around and join up in the centre. You should be able to see you have an even grind all the way around the tool. When you put a flat surface across the top, you shouldn't be able to get a pin in any gaps between. So for the shape that's more similar to the factory grind, where the wings have been left forwards and not taken back, it's possible to sharpen using the SVS50. The distance between the top edge and the body of the SVS50 you will have to gauge depending on the angle you want on the front, but it very simply does a similar movement that we do on the roughing gouge, flowing backwards and forwards as we sharpen. We now show you the bevel rubbing cut. Facing off the bowl with the flute at 2 o'clock, and the bevel is flush with the top of the piece. Nice and smooth, easy cut. Just to clean the top of the bowl surface. Slow down, lift the handle as we get near the centre. Now the hollowing cut. starting at the top, the flute pointing at 2 o'clock, feeding in, the fingernail grind allows many cuts. It is very safe to use due to the drawn back wings. The cutting angle is 45 degrees. To change from the standard grind to the fingernail grind, quite simply, take the Wolverine fingernail grinding jig, put it at position 53, number 2 on the jig, bring the arm back until the bevel is rubbing on the front angle of the tool and grind the fingernail. Just remember not to overgrind the front. The material needs to be removed from the sides. So one side at a time until you reach the desired shape. With this recipe, you can of course always regrind existing fingernail grinds with the Wolverine jig. Assuming we want to change the grind on the same gouge from factory grind to fingernail grind. For this task, the OWC1 adapter used with the Tormek guide is suited perfectly. We use the same setup as explained for the fingernail grind. So, a projection of 65 millimeters, jig setting number 2. Slide the jig over so you can see the bevel angle is the same. If you roll the tool on its side, material is removed. This achieves your chosen shape quickly. And the result is a grind which can be transferred to the water-cooled finer Tormek system. So to grind the fingernail profile on the Superflute hole lathe with the TTS 100, a projection setting of 65 millimeters and jig setting number 2. Again, it may help to black pen the profile of the bevel to make sure you're hitting the target. And then quite simply, watching carefully over the top and being careful you don't overgrind on the front, keeping the wings equal. Now the fingernail grind in use, truing up cut. Beautiful clean cut. Now the pull cut. Bevel rubbing cut. The angel hair cut. Very useful at the base of the outside of a bowl, near the tenon for example. Moving slowly along the surface, very little pressure. With this cut you get the perfect finish, surface and shavings as fine as an angel's hair. So this is the Superflute with the fingernail grind, and we're going to face off the top of the bowl. If the gouge is at the correct position, you'll see that it is clean behind the cut. And last but not least, the hollowing cut. I'm beginning to hollow the bowl. Remember, turning should be fun. It's going to take quite a lot of practice, and if you're just making this stuff, at least you're enjoying it.